It's a lovely day, and for me, once in my life awake, it is time to stay again very happy, because a happy soul, a happy being produces happy, stories at the end of the day. And I know that today we will be presenting and producing happy stories at the end of our 2 hours. Now, coming to the studio, ask me, I did something that was enter a vehicle and got down here. That's transportation and movement. And movement is something that is peculiar to every man in the sense of generic. A child is born. The child begins to crawl, begins to walk, begins to run. That is movement. When he's even older, he begins to board a taxi or own a car. Well, that is movement, and that is one thing man must do if you must survive. And of course, if you must also stay healthy, you must make movement. But in making movement, we meet a lot of challenges. We meet a lot of obstacles. And we begin to wonder, was it okay if I said sedentary? The doctors will tell you no. You must go around, make your daily livings and make movement. But then, all of these challenges which we meet when we make our movement will be our thrust for today, because we intend to ensure that we trash it out and make sure that we move freely, be it with the Okada, be it with the motorists, be it with bicycle, tricycle, whatever you want to call it. Whatever challenges you meet on your way will be our thrust for today. And I say because it's not just you and I. I have a beautiful lady joining me today. She's by no means a rookie. Even though it's her first time in this studio, I will say good morning, Sekiola. And have you ever had any challenge?
Yeah, good morning, Lizzie. You know, mobility is one challenge, especially in this Abuja, especially for those that stay in the suburb. It's quite a challenge to move from the suburb into the city center. But as you rightly said, we will be discussing how best we can have it and make it easy for everyone, everywhere, and when needed.
And Shike, we did say that once we're done, we're going to be getting down and doing the real deal.
Yeah.
You know, you told me about your experience, with your Okada people, right?
Not really with Okada people. What I was just trying to say is that I would prefer a system on ground where it's a lot easier for those in the suburb you don't necessarily have to drive yourself to the city center. You should be able to pick up a cab or pick up maybe a mass transit bus that will just take you right to the city center, and then from there you can navigate your way to wherever you're going.
Especially people like me that don't like driving, but all the same, that will be our focus for today. But I know that Francis has actually done a whole lot, putting us in the right mood for today. Francis, is up to you. Backgrounder.
In Nigeria, road transport services neither have a system of government licensing nor minimum entry requirements to operate. In fact, most of the providers are outside the tax net of the government. Yet, if the sector must perform optimally and perform its major role in enabling the overall economy, regulation should be a priority.
We have, from time, not had a well-organized public transport system. Somebody has an Okada. How did he get the Okada? Is the Okada licensed? Because Okada is also meant to get a registration number, just like a car. So if it's registered, in whose name is it registered? Who is using it? So if something happens, you've got a person's details. To a large extent, you go to Lagos, it's working. So the tendency is, what do we want to have? Those are the kind of things we should ask ourselves. You want to have an organized transport system? Yes, it's possible.
Today in Nigeria, informal public transport is the prevalent mode of travel for most people, yet they are grossly unsafe. In most motor parks across the country, passengers are required to provide their names and other relevant details in case of eventualities. In order to move with the pace of development, there is need for transport unions to digitalize passengers' information and provide insurance cover for passengers.
When they do a list of passengers and all of that, they provide that list is also provided for the purpose of insurance that they have done. So the passengers are covered, and that means the particular vehicle, with the driver and everybody has got insurance cover. So when something goes wrong, irrespective of who is at fault, because that is for the traffic system to determine who is at fault. If there's somebody who is injured in that bus, insurance will take care of such a person. That's how it works. Once there's insurance will be called upon. Oh, somebody was injured, this is how much is involved. Insurance will take care of such. However, some of them, they just say insurance, but do not actually do the insurance and pay the premium for the insurance. So sometimes they say they are doing insurance, but they don't notify the insurance company and actually pay the premium, because if you don't pay your premium, you are not covered. When you see certain commercial drivers, insurance companies run away from providing cover for them because they live their lives as if there is no life after this time. The way they drive, it's almost to say that accidents will happen. And insurance companies are not there to just provide cover for anybody who wants to have accidents.
One of the biggest problems faced by the insurance industry in Nigeria is lack of awareness. There are certain insurance policies that the federal government has made compulsory for every individual and business in the country to obtain to protect the relevant third party in the event of death or bodily injury.
There is a law that makes it mandatory for every vehicle on the road to have a minimum of a third-party cover. And what the third-party cover does is that there is the first party, and then there is the second party and the third party. So it covers the third party, which is the other party, not yourself. So in an event that your vehicle hits another person's vehicle, that person's vehicle is taken care of by your third-party insurance cover. And it covers as much as up to 1 million naira is made available to take care of the person's vehicle. And in the event that there's a bodily injury to anybody in that person's vehicle, the same third-party insurance cover takes care of that. And you're paying only 5,000 naira for a whole year. So these are things that people need to know. And why I say it's huge is because so many people take it for granted that this third-party insurance cover is just for the police to allow you pass and continue doing your business. But it comes with the benefits, which I just mentioned. And people need to know this so that they can take advantage of it. However, there are others. You could choose to take a comprehensive cover, which covers accident, to your vehicle and the vehicle of the other party. And it covers the case of theft also. Sometimes the comprehensive cover is not as expensive as people think. For less than 5% of the value of the car, you can get a comprehensive cover.
If insurance is well designed and implemented, it can have impact for improving road safety. Our focus on Weekend Deal today will be on licensing the public transport in Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Francis. We're still talking about administration of public transportation system. And when talking about public transportation system, of course, we want it to be in line with global best practices. And then we talk about, that means you have to take into consideration insurance, you have to take into consideration safety, affordability, and availability. And now we'll be going to Ibadan studios to know what regulation is all about over there. Lizzie?
Definitely we talk about regulation because when somebody mentioned insurance, earlier, before today, that's when we had our meeting, somebody said, why would I want to go and do, comprehensive? It's expensive. I'll just do third party. And I said, what about if you have an accident? He said, it's not my portion. That's our typical.
Yeah, that is our thing in Africa.
We start sending text messages. Auntie, please, can you help me buy this? Can you help me do this? Anyway, what's the regulation like in Ibadan? It's up to you.
With the recent security challenges being experienced across the nation, with reported cases of one chance, kidnapping of passengers, extortion, and other criminal activities associated with public transport in Nigeria, what are the efforts of Oyo State government in regulating public transport and curbing the menace in their domain?
For us in Oyo State, part of the things we've been doing is to ensure that commercial operators, they are registered. Part of our policies is to incorporate the commercial motorcyclists for now into our transport system. But not only incorporating them, what we've been able to do is to ensure that the Okada riders are registered. And then we have their biodatas and everything with the fingerprint. And we also ensure that we also have the details and the areas where they are operating. Route is also very key, and we must also know that most of these transporters, by the time we're able to know their operations, and they have designated areas where commuters can take commercial vehicles and they can move.
Are the government enforcement agencies saddled with the responsibility that transport operators are duly registered?
Investigation revealed that most bandits make use of motorcycles, especially unregistered motorcycles, to commit crime and atrocities in the country. And in the state, we've started a public enlightenment on this. Even apart from public enlightenment, a special patrol is going on as I'm talking to you. For in the last 1 week, we have arrested close to 830 unregistered bikes in the state, and I want to even put it on record that those 830 were made to register their bikes. So and those numbers have already been uploaded into our portal.
In what ways are transport unions enforcing compliance from their members? And are the officials trained? Are there sanctions for defaulters?
That you must not drink or smoke before driving. And we drivers, whenever we are on wheels, making unnecessary calls can easily cause accident. Overspeeding can cause accident. We need to tell ourselves all about this so that we can reduce the rate of accidents on our road. Most of the accidents in Nigeria are man-made. They are not mechanical. If we can just abide with the rules and regulations being laid down by the road safety, definitely we are going to have a very tiny cause of accident.
Respondents opined that with proper regulation in the transport business industry, it will bring sanity to our roads, security of lives and property of passengers, and increase revenue generation for the state and the nation at large.
Okay, so if you're just joining us, the show is still Weekend Deal, but I know that a lot of us have been seated since 7 a.m. till now to ensure that we get the full benefits of what we're doing today. And I told you that if we are going to get it right, we must make sure that we play by the rule. And when we talk about rules, we also talk about some of the enforcers. We have a guest seated with us here, Engineer Abiodun Akinlade, Commander, Core Transport Standardization, FRSC. You're welcome to the studio.
Thank you, madam.
You know, I'm tempted to ask you, sir, can I see your driver's license?
Is there?
Can I see your fire extinguisher?
It's in my car.
Okay.
So, those are the necessary things to put inside the car.
Okay.
Yes, for safety.
All right, it's important. That's the first thing people always ask me.
Yes.
So I'm tempted to ask you the same thing.
Yes, I have them.
All right, so it's good to know you're compliant.
Thank you.
And I'd like to know, really, a lot of Nigerians will want to know, what is the job? What is the mandate of your office? It's FRSC.
Okay, our statutory function is to eradicate or eliminate road traffic crashes and also create a safe motoring environment for Nigerians. And that's one we have been doing. And also ensure the safety of passengers and all road users in the country. So we are doing that effectively. So I think that is the vision of the FRSC for now.
Okay, how has it been like, before I get to the nitty-gritty, how has it been like getting these objectives achieved?
Yes, we have been doing a lot in this area. At least the enforcement aspect of it is on the high side, because we believe that after coming up with a law, somebody must enforce that law. And that is why we see all our operatives on the highway making sure that these particular laws are enforced, especially the National Road Traffic Regulation being enforced on the highway. And also we ensure that we also educate the motorists in this area. It's not everything about enforcement, but carry out the stakeholders also matters in the enforcement of these traffic rules and regulations on the highway. So,
right.
Yeah.
Okay, Shiki?
Yeah, now coming down to the issue of regulation that we're talking about today. What are the requirements for one to be a commercial transporter?
Yes. Well, let me quickly come up with a brief on this issue of regulation. In 2007, FRSC observed that our fleet operators, those are the commercial that we believe, lack professionalism, and also there's a breach in the regulation that actually regulate these particular fleet operators. So we now came up with a scheme to further reduce road traffic crashes on the highway on the part of the fleet operators. So we came up with a scheme called Road Transport Safety Standardization Scheme, RTSS. This scheme it's a road transport regulatory policy that stimulates minimum safety requirement for all fleet operators. So before you can be a commercial fleet operator, you must register under this particular scheme. And this particular scheme set up three major standards: the operator's safety standard, the driver safety standard, and the vehicle safety standard. It is compulsory under the National Road Traffic Regulation 2012 and 2016 as amended that you must, as a fleet operator or as a commercial vehicle operator, to register under this particular scheme. This particular scheme also check the excesses of our fleet operators, those excesses that leads to loss of life and properties on the highway. So this particular scheme is purely to regulate fleet operators in Nigeria.
Okay, now the scheme you're talking about, yes, from what you're saying, sounds good.
Yes.
But I'd like to know, what are the specifics of
yes.
the safety we're talking about?
Yes.
I know you came in here, asked you about your certain things you should carry.
Yes.
But are there other things the fleet operators, like you call them, but I know them as drivers, right?
Yes.
Okay. So are there certain things that they should know?
Yes.
Probably we should be more specific about.
Yes. If you are a fleet operator under the National Road Traffic Regulations, you must establish a safety unit. As somebody that is probably have mission of establishing transport services, you must establish a safety unit and also appoint a safety manager that will also oversee the issue of minimum safety standard. Because we know that without minimum safety standard entrenched in the activities of these fleet operators, this may also lead to increase in the road traffic crashes on the highway. So we ensure that we enforce this, and also under this regulation, if you are not registered under this particular scheme, the CAC, that is the Corporate Affairs Commission, must not register you. Okay. I think that one is part of is under this particular regulation. And any fleet operator, before you can go on the highway and say you want to involve in the transport business, you must obtain certificate of compliance from FRSC. And that certificate must also be at your headquarters and also at the terminals.
What about the private, the single commercial drivers? You call fleet operators?
Yes, you mean someone operating some numbers of vehicles.
Those single ones also have union that actually take care of them. Okay. So what we do is that we engage those union and ensure that our operative visit those parks on daily basis to check whether those vehicles, maybe one or two that are under union, are key into this minimum safety standard, which we enforce. Any of these fleet operators that find one thing in this area, we make sure that such vehicle will not be allowed to load at the park.
Okay.
And these are the things we are doing on daily basis around all over the federations. We try to get involved with the union and ensure that every operators that belong to that particular union are also caged, and also make sure that those people are also regulated. We regulated through them. So we visit them on daily basis and check. These are the things that we do on daily basis.
All right.
Okay, you're talking about a fleet operation here, and that has to do with public transportation in terms of vehicles.
Exactly.
So what about tricycles and commercial motorbikes? Who regulates them? Are they also under the scheme of fleet operations regulation?
Even though they are not properly captured, but we ensure that they also have a strong synergy with their union. That we ensure that their unions are also very strong. They have the data of all those who that operate, and we also go into this and ensure that we talk to their union on the need for all their members to key into the minimum safety standard. Because if they key into this minimum safety standard, definitely the issue of road traffic crashes will be the things of the past.
You know, when you talk about data, I'm a bit. My mind was actually trying to zero into certain things. The data does it include the names, their home address?
Yes.
Shorties in
yes.
case of anything.
Okay,
all of those are captured.
You are right. Like those people those operators that actually register under the RTSS, we have everything about them: their details, their vehicles details, the driver details, their location, their route, which we monitor through our portal. We have a portal for them in the core. We call the portal the RTSS portal, and even the individuals have access to that portal. It's a matter of link out the website of www.rtss.frc.gov.ng. Immediately you click on that, you can have access to the details of our drivers, the details of their location, the details of the fleet operator, where they are, what are they doing, what type of operations are they. And remember, these fleet operators are not only passenger carrying. We also involve the haulage operators, the wet cargo, the dry cargo operators. Those people also we involve them. We have their data, we have their information, everything, details about them on this particular portal.
All right. Without meaning to cut you in, I would like to know, is it when I register with you,
yes,
and I have authority to move, does it mean my authority means I could just move anyhow? As a keke driver, because I'm planning to begin one business like that, do I just go from Asokoro to Maitama to Lugbe to Kuje to... Must I have a route?
The monitoring of the route is domiciled presently with the associations, with all those associations leaders, union leaders, and other things.
But there is a route for everybody, right?
Yes. But definitely what we normally do is for us to engage this association, especially their executive, and also carry them along on what are we expecting all those keke, Okada, all those motorcycles to be. You cannot just put your keke without being roadworthy on the highway. Okay. So you must ensure that they are good, and those people that are even driving those things are physically and mentally fair. Okay, these are the part of the thing people. Part of the provisions of this particular RTSS. Once those standards are key into the operator safety standard, the driver safety standard, the vehicle safety standard, because part of the responsibility of a fleet operator is to establish a safety unit and also appoint a safety manager. This part of the responsibility of that safety manager is risk assessment. We expect that safety managers to be knowledgeable about the route that these people are applying. Operators is applying, and then we also expect the passengers also to ensure that any vehicle that you enter, you check the vehicle properly and ensure that the contact number of the of the safety manager is boldly written at the back, so that in case of any problem or any issue, you can easily call those numbers. And another thing, those people that actually involved in the interstate, they must document their details on passenger manifest. In case there is any accident or kidnapping issue, They can bring out the passenger manifest and see where this man, what is the name of the passenger, where is he going, his location, the time he boarded the vehicle, and the next of kin. All those phone numbers are there. So if they are if they really key into the scheme properly, these are the things we also monitor on daily basis from the corps, because we, like I said, we deploy our operative on daily basis to the park to go and check, to go and retrieve part of. It's duplicate. Duplicate. We retrieve one of those things and also use it to update our own data records. Yeah.
Okay. Now, before I take on with the next question, I would want to, take a feature courtesy of Susan. I know that there's something you people do, your office, when they find somebody breaking law.
Yeah.
Sometimes they not only book you to go and pay, they also send you for either drug tests, psychiatric tests,
emotional tests, all those tests.
All of those is emotional balancing.
Yes.
I don't know, but emotional psychology and all of that tests. Susan Adamu will look at this for us. When we come back, I have questions to ask.
No problem.
All right, Susan.
Driving is a complex task which requires a range of skills. It can be stressful and require a high level of concentration. Knowing how to drive is a basic requirement for those who want to take on the wheel. However, the state of our mental health and its impact on our driving ability are key factors for safety. Drivers with mental illnesses are associated with a high risk of vehicle crashes.
Our mental state, our emotional state is very important. When you are furious, do not drive. When you are angry, do not drive. When you are drunk, do not drive. Even when you are fatigued, everything has to do with mental issue. You need not to drive.
A person who has a mental health disorder is likely to manifest some abnormality either in the way of their thinking, their feeling, their behavior. Therefore, you find that, because of the fact that somebody is having some mental health disorder, the person may not be able to do what is expected of him, either as a student or a worker or a transport operator. Oh, that language is very common on the streets. Madman, madman. Most of the people on the streets, let me start by saying that right away, are not mentally ill. They are just disobedient to the law because they think they can get away with it. If they felt that they would be caught, they would be punished, you will find that 90% plus of these issues would be off the road.
In Nigeria, an estimated 20 to 30% of our population is believed to suffer from mental health disorders. Research has also established that most public transport drivers and operators in Nigeria fall below global standards. This is attributed to the unregulated nature of the sector or lack of enforcement of the extant policies and regulations.
We have a department or a core office that is known as Core Transport Standardization Office. They regulate all these transport fleet operators. Let me cite an example of ABC, Bismarck Transit, Kennedy Shuko and Co. We regulate, we certify them, and we certify. We train them also. So we are in charge, particularly as it affects transport organizations or the one we call fleet operators, especially when you have more than 5 vehicles in your fleet.
The abnormal behavior of some of the operators can be traced to being constantly high on drug and all manner of concoctions. People who untreated mental health disorders fall victims of stigmatizations. They are often ignored or poorly understood.
Probably close to a quarter of the population could be suffering from mental health conditions at any point in time. A person could be depressed. A person could have even more serious mental witnesses. A person could be behind the steering wheel and in fact be suicidal. Whether they are public transport operators, whether they are day-to-day people just driving themselves, we all need to look after our mental health. If you notice that the person who is driving you is not coordinated in speech, for example, he might have been drinking, excessive use of alcohol and other substances like cannabis. These are things that are not compatible with good driving on the road. If you want to get into a vehicle, you want to travel, and you see the driver buying alcohol and drinking it, please try to get another vehicle, because that man is likely to operate under the influence of alcohol.
It is important that we pay close attention to the state of well-being of drivers, and not only their physical appearance. This will go a long way in averting accidents that leads to injuries, loss of lives and properties.
All right, nice one, Susan Ademu, and we still have in the studio Engineer Abiodun Akinlade, Corps Commander, Corps Transport Standardization Officer, FRC headquarters here in Abuja. And I'm going to keep you here for a little while because I know questions are, coming in. And one of the questions someone has asked via our, social media handle is, why is it that road safety people, is not me asking, are not proactive? A lot of times, yes, people break laws, but you don't even notice you've broken the law until you see one person jumping out either from behind somewhere under the tree. Shouldn't there be something to stop us from breaking the law rather than to catch us to pay fine?
We all know that driving is about your attitude. People exhibit that kind of attitude. Probably they exhibit at home on steering.
Definitely.
So you see some of them are very, very aggressive when they are driving, and it's because there must be because there is law, and there must be people that will enforce the law. We are not meant to break the law, and once law is broken, and somebody must enforce. I don't want to subscribe that we are not proactive. We are proactive in we are diligent in our duty, and we also ensure that you cannot apprehend all traffic offenders, but definitely you pick one and three.
Especially women. If you pick women a lot, why?
That is not true. I don't believe that. The law is meant for everybody, men, women, everybody to obey, especially traffic rules. So if you contravene traffic rules, the enforcement officer is there to checkmate you and serve as deterrence to others not to break traffic rules.
Okay, please quickly before we wind up this session, alcoholism seems to be the order of the day for commercial drivers, and we see them, that is their normal practice in their motor parks. And we're talking about mental health issues now. So what do you do to mitigate that or to sensitize them against such practices? I don't see road safety officers in motor parks talking to these drivers.
You will recall that I stated that part of the responsibility of the Corps is to visit park on regular basis and check the excesses of these drivers. So our people visit park on daily basis and also go there with alcoholizer to check the level of alcoholism.
That's nice.
We do that on regular basis.
Oh,
even
really?
on the highway, we stop people that we probably feel that these people is not right or is not in his right senses to drive, and check whether the person has taken a high level of alcohol and other things. So these are the things that we handle on the highway too. You see our people with alcoholizer to check all these things on the highway. So we continue to do it, and it's a thing that we need to engage our stakeholders, especially the unions too. This is what we normally do also on a daily basis. We send our people to go and engage this union and tell them the reason why they should not involve in this. Like we used to tell people, road safety is everybody's business. It's not supposed to be probably restricted to FRSA officers. Once you are doing your own at your own level, you are also contributing positively to the eradication of road traffic crashes on the highway.
That's nice to know. And much as I give you kudos, I want to know, what is my place if I meet a law enforcement agent breaking the law, like jumping red lights? What do I do?
You have the opportunity to report such person to probably to the nearest command or to the authority. Like, in the case of FRS, if you have any issue like that, you can call our emergency number 122 and make your case known.
122.
That's the emergency number. It's a toll-free.
So I cannot arrest you on the road?
No, you don't have that power to arrest me, but you can report me to appropriate authority. And we have sanction for such yes, for such officers, errand officers. So we have sanction for them.
All right.
Okay, this quick one before you go. Whose duty is it to check papers, vehicle particulars? Is it the road safety, VIO, or the police?
No, you cannot say we are not checking. The reason is that, before our operative stop a vehicle, that operative must have noticed what they call primary offense. Okay. That you must have committed. If I'm citing you like this, there's a primary offense that the operative must have noticed for him to stop you. And if he stop you for a primary offense, in the process of booking you for one thing or the other, he has the right to ask you whether you have appropriate driver license to even drive that vehicle you are driving. I've seen some commercial vehicle using motorcycle driver license to drive commercial vehicle, which is very wrong. So our operative have the right, after stopping you for primary offense, and ask you for your documents. Because some of these documents, when booking, also, especially when they ask you you want your vehicle to be impounded because of one or two things, you cannot provide original document. So they have the right to check the validity of your papers too.
All right, so just before we go, I'd like you to give us a final words to the Nigerians who are listening in regards to the safety on the roads.
Yes, I want all Nigerians also to support FRSC. Like I said earlier, road safety business is everybody's business. It's everybody's responsibility. Do your own part, obey traffic rules and regulations, and ensure you obey the ensure you obey the laws, and make our roads safe for everybody. That is contribution I want from Nigerians.
Definitely. That's not too much to ask.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We've been speaking with the Commander, Core Transport Standardization Officer, FRSC headquarters here in Abuja, in the person of Engineer Abiodun Akinlade. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you, madam.
Right about now, we'll take a break. We'll be right back. All right, weekend deal and the regulation of the transport sector. Now, in English language, one is just a number, chance is another word. And when they are linked together, when it comes to the area of transportation, there is always fear. And Lagos is one place that fear is in quantum. Let's visit Lagos, join particularly ETV, get to find out the fear of one chance.
Residents in the city of Lagos, movements are fast-paced, only to be slowed down by the maddened traffic. This compels residents to leave home as early as 4 a.m. in the morning in order to avoid it, or get home very late at night when trapped in it. For this reason and more, unsuspecting commuters fall easy prey to perpetrators of a rising form of robbery that has taken different twists and turns. It is commonly referred to as one chance.
I heard of a case of a brother in a church who early in the morning boarded a bus going to work, but unfortunately he fell into the hand of those guys operating one chance vehicles. And from the experience, we got to know that he was beaten up and they applied a boniki onto his eyes and he almost lost consciousness.
We are aware that we have incidents of traffic robberies and we are working a lot to see that that is a thing of the past. People would agree with me that traffic robberies used to be more than this. but with the total ban on the operations of motorcycles in Lagos State, it has reduced drastically, because motorcycles used to be their way of their means of getaway, and that is no longer there.
It was established that some of these fake transporters pick up passengers who eventually fall victims not only at bus stops but also at parks and garages around Lagos.
Well, since we've been operating, we don't have any experience of one chance, because our vehicles are properly monitored. We have monitoring van that follows our buses, and we don't load apart from our park.
The Lagos State Ad hoc Committee on the Management of Parks and Garages is saddled with the responsibility of regulating the activities in parks and garages around Lagos. We embarked on a fact-finding mission to hear from them. Unfortunately, we were met with a brick wall, as none of them would speak to us. Perhaps, if proper licensing is done on public transport operations, vehicles are well insured, and the regulations are raised to meet up with global standards so that vehicles can easily be tracked, maybe, and just maybe, the increasing menace of one chance in Lagos would be curbed.
The device that is being used is named automatic number plate recognition. Once the vehicle approaches where the device is installed, the device will pick the registration number and is going to run checks on the number, whereby you confirm whether the vehicle have insurance, vehicle license, roadworthiness, if it is valid or not. And once it is not valid, it's going to generate a bill, and the bill will be sent to the phone number that was used initially during the registration of such vehicles. We will send the details to the phone number, alerting the person, informing the person.
Every commuter in Lagos needs to be extra vigilant. If you're going to go by public transport, be sure to to board vehicles at designated bus stops. Be sure to board vehicles that have the approved Lagos colors. Do not board vehicles along the road, especially unmarked cars, just random cars. And if you are using ride-hailing apps, make sure you follow the security tips given on that same app. Make sure the plate number is tallies with what's on the app. Make sure the driver, everything, and have some emergency contacts on your phone.
Take the extra time to be more security conscious, even as a commuter. Always remember the popular saying in Lagos, shine your eyes.
Yeah, thank you very much for still being with us. The program is still Weekend Deal on the network service of the NTA, and the topic we're looking at is regulation of public transportation system in Nigeria. We have someone in the studio who should actually know about public transport system, and is a person of Assistant Director Public Transport Monitoring of the Directorate of Transport Services here in Abuja, what we popularly call VIO. Mr. Wale Durujaye, you're welcome to our studio.
Thank you very much.
And to set the conversation rolling with you concerning regulation, that's something we call one chance. As Lizzie said earlier, when it is one, it's just an English word, and chance, another English word. But when it comes together, one chance, you have to take a run. So, what is VIO doing about one chance, preventing citizens or passengers from falling victim of one chance?
Yes, thank you very much. And like you said, one chance is a Nigerian word to describe a situation where an unsuspecting passenger is being robbed by the person that he expected to take him to his destination. And now, one thing about solving your problem is about identifying the problem first. So we have identified a lot of challenges in public transportation system in FCT. And coming to the issue of one chance, the scheme we brought on board is not just to look at the issue of one chance alone. It's to look at several other things. But let me explain how it's going to take care of one chance. We have a system now, a scheme that we call Public Transportation Management Scheme. This scheme targets the use of technology, to sanitize the transportation environment, to create transparency and entrench efficiency in that sector. And what are we looking at? By the virtue of our work, we are looking at the vehicle itself. We are looking at the driver that is driving the vehicle. So what we're doing now is we are creating a database for the vehicle and a database for the driver. So now what that will do is, if you stop a vehicle, randomly, you could just check. We have an app, Abuja Inspector, and we have a USSD code that is going to be announced later for.
Okay, the USSD
code in case you don't have smartphone.
Okay.
You understand? Because it's not everybody that have smartphone. If you have smartphone, you could download the Abuja Inspector app, and when you download it, you can just cross-check on the app. You look at the number on the side of the car. When you check it, it will give you the driver that's supposed to drive the vehicle for that period.
This is your Abuja app?
Yes, that's Abuja Inspector right there on your phone. And it will give you the number of that vehicle, information about the vehicle, and information about the driver. So you know that this one is known to the authority, that be. So now, that is what the government has done to curb the activities of One Chance, because now the promoters themselves, they have the leverage to check the vehicle they are about to board, whether it is known or it is not known. You understand? So now what we will now be telling the commuters is that do not board the vehicle that is not known to us. And the vehicle that is not known to us is that one that does not have that side number, and that does not belong to the e-hailing cab too.
Okay, so my takeaway from what you're just saying is that every public vehicle for transportation
in FCT
will now begin to wear a number, like 01, 02, 0100, stuff like that. So it's easy for people to know, okay, this is a car that is designed for me to flag down and use, be it along or from a park, right?
Yeah.
And that also includes if I am a civil servant and I want to do kabu with my vehicle later after work, I need to also come in and stamp that number.
There's other package for that. We have the e-hailing cabs that you could use your private vehicle, to do commercial vehicle.
Okay.
By getting
download their app, request and all
contact
that.
them. They have their own processes.
Okay.
Go through that.
They also, have your authority a bit.
Yes, they are known to us right now. They are known to us. We're in the process of engaging each other on that. So you could do that. But now, if you have that red number plate, that commercial number plate, you cannot just go to the road and operate without belonging to a licensed operator. Licensed operators are the ones we're dealing with. That we're giving the site a numbering. So in the event of when all these things are there, all this kabu and everything, they will not have a place to do the business, because we are going to make the business environment so unconducive for them.
Okay.
Because now people can check, excuse me, that number is not just to be there. Anybody can just go and write the number. They can copy the number. But now you as a commuter can check
if that number
using
is
the technology that we have provided, to authenticate the number.
Okay. Now I want to also know, when we speak of One Chance, a lot of things tend to lead to it, and I believe in prevention is better than cure. So when I get a taxi and the taxi is tinted, heavily tinted, whether it's the e-hailing or the normal hailing, I get the cheaters, the butterflies in my system, and most often I don't go into such vehicles. Do you also address commuters, the public people? What sensitization are you giving to the public to protect themselves?
Yes, as it is now, we have a lot of programs, radio here and there. We talk so much about safety. We talk so much about security. Presently now, Nigeria is facing a lot of security challenge. And one thing, majorly that plays the highest role now is intuition. Your intuition. Somebody's intuition. It plays a very big role in this. Your instincts to, look at, like you said, a tinted car. Why do you need a tinted car to do commercial service? It's not needed. And, tinted like there's something they call tinted permit. It has been taken off by the police. Police controls that. We have controls over tinted permit too, on the sense that there's a limit to how a car should be, tinted. There's a limit to it, and like I said, what plays major role in this, apart from the enlightenment and everything we do, is the personal instinct of that commuter. But now that one, we have now stepped forward and we have taken charge by introducing what I just explained to you.
Okay, then. Okay, before we continue with Mr. Wale Durujaye here in our studio, we'll take a report by Dayo. And the report is still talking about security of public transport in Nigeria. So let's have that report before we continue the discussions.
We monitor the road together with other security agencies. And at the same time, we have been putting so many things in place to make sure that it is reduced. We encourage commuters to always use our taxi ranks or the motor parks. They have what they call manifests. They will know who is who, the vehicle that is going to take anybody to his destination. That is the much we have gone. We are improving all these taxi ranks. If you own your own vehicle and you have a license, that does not mean that you convert yourself to a commercial driver. What you need to do is still to come back to us. We look at your experience. FCT administration is putting all these things in place to ensure that when you enter taxi rank or motor parks, you feel comfortable. When you are comfortable and you feel standing on the road to take a taxi is the best you can afford, you are the one who is endangering yourself. We have launched what we call public transportation management scheme. We have different levels of implementation of our enforcement, where you see tricycle in all these suburbs, the area councils. We don't go ahead to impound them. But when you see them in the city center, it's not part of the transportation master plan. So when they are seen in the city, the only thing is to impound them. And once it's impounded, especially the motorcycles, we don't normally release it to the owners. What we do is to get order of forfeiture from a competent court. When that is done, the next thing will be to crush them.
All right, with me in the studio is still the Assistant Director Public Transportation Monitoring of a VIO in the person of Wale Durojai. And lots of questions are coming in for you. I would quickly let Shike, you want to read some of the messages?
Yeah, we have some messages here, and this one is particularly funny.
Funny. Okay.
He or she says, good morning, NTA. Please, my question goes to the boss over there. What about the bad business your people do? That is bribe. Please, this is important to me. Imagine your men asking me for tractor spare tire. I mean that big tire. How am I supposed to have one?
Yeah, in a bad business, in quote, bribe. What is bad is bad. If bribe, that is why it's called bribe. It's bad. Like I used to say, as an enforcement officer, you might not seriously be liked by the members of the public, but if you do your job well, members of the public could understand with you that you are just doing your job, and that is what we are canvassing for. That is what we plead for, understanding that we need to carry out this job. Yes, we might disturb you sometimes, we might delay you sometimes, just to be sure that you do the right thing. So,
all right, interesting. You have a word for him before we go?
Not really, not necessarily.
So we have been speaking with the man in charge of public transport monitoring here in the FCT, in the person of the Assistant Director, Wale Durojai. And you've been very enlightening. And just before we leave, I'd like to know, where is your roadworthiness before you enter the... No. Before you entered, cross the camera, you needed to have a roadworthiness. You didn't know about it. Okay, please.
Maybe camera worthiness.
Okay, camera worthiness. What's your camera worthiness?
I was not told about that.
I hope you take the same excuse from me when it happens. Let's join NTA Abuja for another site on the December. Okay, I'm just being told by my director. And do you have more messages?
I have one here, not well composed though, but let me see what I can make out of it. Good morning, my name is so person, a resident in Abuja. Please kindly enlighten us. The issue of self-employed drivers are worrisome in the Capital Territory. Your men, okay, that should be for the safety. Your men in Zuba parks are not helping matters. Day Junction, Kubwa Road is blocked every day. In fact, in general, traffic management is very poor in the Capital Territory. Lagos is better.
Lagos is better. That's good.
That's what this
it's good to know. That's all the same. Talking about women, I'm sure that we're able to answer that question because of our discussion.
Exactly.
But speaking about women, you're a woman. How did you enjoy your day today?
I feel very proud. I feel excited, of course, to be in the studio. And again, considering the performance of women in just a concluded Commonwealth Games, you know, I feel really proud to be a woman.
I actually feel like celebrating, and we should start from right away here. Okay, so, Shaggy. I wonder if God is a woman.
Yeah. Trying for the woman.
That's strength of a woman.
Strength of a woman.